crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadroad.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. There was none left. That's a bummer. All right, let's talk silver. So much information's coming out. That is the key to the silver price. Getting information into the hands of investors about the manipulation that's been going on for, the computer manipulation since the early 1970s. I've outlined that. That's what RUTA means, Root A. Alan Greenspan was the first computer programmer in there rigging the markets with Arthur Burns, the head of the Fed. This is a USA-run production. It's in days. It no longer serves the U.S. to rig the silver market because all our enemies are soaking up all the silver. China, Russia, Venezuela, you name it. They all know the jig is up. Now, the question is, what are these hedge funds going to do? Some of them have learned a new lesson, and that it was exposed by Ted Butler this weekend. An easy and the cheapest way, and the only way really, to get large amounts of physical silver is to buy SLV and then take delivery. I think the minimum delivery is 100,000 ounces. But, hey, there's no restrictions on how much delivery you can take, like there is on the COMEX, that rigged market that sets the price. So that's what Ted thinks is happening, that the big money is saying, hey, I'm going to get physical delivery, but not through the COMEX, which I think they're going to get both, but through SLV. And over the last 5 days, that's what we've seen. Remember, there was over 110 million ounces that went into SLV in that big weekend. And then in the last 4 days, I believe it is, we've seen the removal of 46 million? Around 46 million ounces. That's a hell of a lot of silver. And if you were going to do that on the COMEX, they wouldn't let you. A single entity. If this is a single entity, I think the jig is up. Anybody and their mother can buy as much SLV as they want. And if they have over 100,000 ounces shares, they can cash it in. Then you got to kind of trust JP Morgan and those guys. Really interesting, and we saw a little pop from silver today. Price means nothing. I'm going to get to that in a second. Price of silver is massively, massively undervalued, and it's going to go up hundreds of times what it is today. Hundreds of times. We have a situation where it has been rigged. The price of silver has been rigged since the 1850s, since the Opium Wars, when England was losing all its silver to China because the English wanted all these silks and spices and stuff from China, and China was on a silver standard, so they demanded silver for their products. The Queen of England didn't like that, or the King of England at the time. I don't even know if there's a king or a queen at the time. They invented this scam. It was a brutal scam against the Chinese people to get them hooked on opium, and then make opium you can only buy opium in silver. So basically, they set up Hong Kong Shanghai Bank to do just that, and then all the silver started flowing through the opium trade back into England. And it's been rigged ever since, and that's what's ending. And yes, it's a big deal. It has to do with the Bank of HSBC Bank, the Queen of England, the City of London monetary control. It's ugly. It's ugly. It's basically the cabal, and that's what's breaking down now. And it's a beautiful thing to see. Great article by Ronan Manley, great, amazing analyst from Bullion Star. It's called Houston, We Have a Problem. 85% of the silver in London already held by the ETFs. The ETF silver is held in 1,000-ounce bars. That's a requirement of, and they have to be certified for, I think, COMEX or LBMA. But it's 1,000-ounce bars. And Ronan has dug through all 14 of the silver ETFs to find that 85% of the silver that could be potentially sold is already gone out of London. That's a big deal. And it's things like that that spark these big traders say, holy shit, how do I get in on this trade? You want to get on that trade? Buy SLV and convert it to physical and convert it fast, I would say. But it's a really good article. Read it. It's a lot of information about the warehouses. And you're going to see a hell of a lot of JP Morgan's name and HSBC. Those are the two big silver criminal banking institutions. Then I would add a company called Virtu Financial, which I'll get to in a second. And then obviously BlackRock, that kind of runs the show as the owner of SLV. But it's not just SLV. SLV makes up a large portion of it, like 30% or so of the ETF metal. But there's a lot of others. Wisdom Tree, Invesco, EDF Securities Australia, Aberdeen Standard, iShares, SSLN, X-Trackers, Bullion Vault, and Gold Money. This is a great breakdown, but look at this, and it comes to a total of 900 million ounces, that's a hell of a lot of silver, probably nearing the top of what these things can hold. But look at who's holding it. This is the amazing thing. Look at all these ETFs: JP Morgan, HSBC, JP Morgan, JP Morgan, JP Morgan, JP Morgan, JP Morgan, JP Morgan, JP Morgan. JP Morgan is the king of playing financial shell games with their loose accounting standards. Now we know that JP Morgan is leasing out silver. So how much of this ETF silver is actually leased to it? And how many times does JP Morgan lease metal to each bank? Some of these ETFs don't even list serial numbers, so how are we supposed to know? I think the reason they don't list serial numbers is that very reason, that they are using leased metal, probably from another vault of ETFs. JP Morgan needs to be investigated, and we don't know what's in these bars. Nobody drills even 1,000-ounce bars. I just got in the mail from Amazon it's a 40-pound magnet. Basically checks if something's silver or not. For example, you have your Silver Eagle coin. Your Silver Road to Ruta coin. The most beautiful coin. I am thinking about making more, but I won't give them away. I'll be selling them. Look. This is, if this was, here, let me show you what it does to, here's some nail clippers. Yeah, you see that? So this is there's nothing but silver in that coin. This is a pre-1965 quarter. See how it wobbles? Why does it wobble? Because it's got 10% copper in it. Stuff like that. Yes, I'm having fun these days. You should get one of these if you want to check your silver. Now, I don't know. This is probably too small to check the big 100-ounce bars. When it comes into question, it's not going to come into question with silver prices at $27. It is going to come into question with silver prices at $1,000. That's a $100,000 bar you're sitting there with. You have 100 ounces of silver, and the price is $1,000, which it should easily hit. Then it's going to come into question. Then people are going to demand that a lot of this silver is melted down into either smaller increments or certified somehow. Because no one's going to pay you $100,000 for your 100-ounce bar unless they know it's pure silver. That's what we're getting into. And I know a lot of you guys have those 100-ounce bars. So you got to know, think about the future. The future is not $27 silver. The future is thousands of dollars silver. And this is just another sign. The big guys are running out of the only commodity that they price silver in, which is 1,000-ounce bars. Take a look at this. This was that weekend. Obviously, the fraud is just off the charts. 400,000 contracts, over 2 billion ounces traded on that February 1st. It's crazy. But now, look, it's going down. Why? Because they figured out another way to get physical silver. It's out of SLV, taking delivery from SLV. And the rules are 100,000 ounces can be withdrawn. If you have 100,000 shares of SLV, you can take the silver out. And I highly recommend getting it in your own possession. Don't just take it out into JP Morgan's warehouse and say, oh, you're fine. Get it in your own possession. Yes, even the 1,000-ounce bars. Really interesting looking at the open interest, still at 95. There's like 8 days left of trading. 95,000 contracts. Let's do the math. Each contract is 5,000 ounces. So we got 95,000, 773 times 5,000. Right now, we're looking at 487 million ounces potentially could stand for delivery. Now, this could change. It always does as you get into the last week. Actually, it's the last 2 or 3 weeks of each delivery month. Next month is a delivery month. They roll over to the next month. And you can see that happen right here with 30 million ounces. They rolled over. I think it's a really stupid move to roll over. This game isn't going to last that long. I think a lot of these people won't roll over. So I think the record's 85 million. And right now we're at 478 million. So what's going to happen in the next 8 days, 8 trading days with SLV? I mean, with the COMEX silver. And then you got SLV. I think there's some futures contracts that are expiring tomorrow. This is on the shares. But remember, if you have 100,000 of those shares, you can cash them in for 100,000 ounces or more of silver if you have more shares. That seems to be what's going on because we have had huge withdrawals in the past 4 days. I don't know. But I do know that JP Morgan is trying to orchestrate this all, even though they aren't short. They don't think they're short. They have gotten rid of their commercial short position, but at the same time, they've lent metal out to other people who are doubly short. And who owns that SLV metal? If these authorized participants, which I'll show you right here, these are the authorized participants who are playing in this game. These are the people who are allowed to deposit metal and pull metal out. If other people are taking the metal, which they have the right to do if they own shares, what are these banks going to do? What are these banks going to do when their contract expires on the COMEX? They're probably going to pull it out of SLV as well, or try. It was a gigantic shell game. And the key is ownership of the shells, of the silver underneath the shells. Who really owns it? Is JP Morgan leasing out all their silver, their billion ounces, supposedly, according to Ted, to all these banks who are basically short on the COMEX? So they have a double short? And then other people are trying to take the silver off the SLV? It's insane. And the regulators have their fingers up their derrieres. Regulators are pathetic and always have been. Or they're massively corrupt. At the CFTC, the joke was the lawyers at the CFTC were as dumb as stumps. That was always the running joke. SEC had assholes. CFTC had just stupid lawyers. And I've talked to a few of them. David Cass, for example, who's no longer there, I heard. I went back and forth with him. I'm like, what don't you understand about this? And just literally embarrassing. Anyway, yeah, you want to get physical silver. I did talk to Andy Scheckman. He's got a whole bunch of physical coming in. He believes, and I believe, we're going to see another weekend like we saw a couple weeks ago. Where everybody chases price in silver. Look, you get little bumps like this, people go, oh my God, I have to get some silver because it's more expensive now. That's the way these crazy markets work. If this goes up $1 or $2 or even approaches $30, everybody and their mother is going to try to get their hands on it, and premiums will go through the roof. Get your physical now. Send Andy Scheckman an email, Andy, A-N-D-Y, at milesfranklin.com, milesfranklin.com. Don't wait. Don't wait for this weekend when it gets crazy. If it is this weekend that it does get crazy. Today is the end of the full moon cycle. So we went from a full moon to a new moon. I mean, the amount of silver, the amount of action that happened in these past 16 days or so is off the charts. Look at all that. I mean, this is a 2 billion plus contract day on the COMEX. I don't think there ever has been one. Jenny Moonstone nailed it. I will be talking to Jenny later today, and then posting some stuff on the private road today, tomorrow, and this weekend. Not sure exactly. We're definitely going to be talking about silver. Definitely going to be talking about Theta. Theta, baby. Holy moly. Theta's trading at $3. You remember when it was 5 cents? Remember me screaming about it when it was 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents? And I said, I'm going to be screaming when it's 50 cents, when it's $1, when it's $1, $2, $3. I'm going to be screaming about it when it's $100. It's $3 now. You got your Theta yet? Did you load up? Now all the cryptos are doing well. That's great. I think regulators are going to have a field day with some of these cryptos. If they ICO'd and haven't gone through that gauntlet yet, that's going to be a big problem. There's a lot of meme cryptos going on, meaning like Dogecoin. Why? What's the use case of Dogecoin? It's just been around a long time. And people, it's got a little puppy as its emblem. It's good for tipping, Bix. Everything's good for tipping. You could tip a millionth of a Bitcoin. Come on. Yes, Theta is the future of the internet. What I'm most excited about, which I've been drilling for a lot of people, and I will do another private road discussion of all the partnerships that are coming down the line for Theta. I mean, we've already seen Samsung and Google and Sony and all the people who are already in and know about it. What's going to happen when Samsung puts it on every TV, every device they have? Puts a Theta node that is going to share broadband, an edge node. Why not stick it on every TV? It's software. Can you imagine the expansion of the internet throughout the world and the recognition that the Theta token was in Theta Labs with its patent? What can I have? They just announced Lionsgate partnership with them. They're going to be a partnership with everybody, including Netflix and YouTube and Verizon and Hulu and everybody you know in the telecommunications space and the internet space. Then all those investors from the .com worlds, the high-tech world who are in on the NASDAQ, investing currently in Google and Facebook, they're all going to be coming over and saying, what looks the most like the companies that I've already known in the past? What technology is going to change the world? Theta. That's my take. That's why I sunk everything I have into it now. Not everything. 95% of my cryptos is in Theta. And when silver goes to 1,000, I'll probably sell half of my silver and buy a whole lot more Theta. Silver is the past. It's a past price suppression. 150 years. That's why it's going to pop into the stars. And, by the way, the historical, I don't care about the historical gold-silver ratio. I care about the rigged gold-silver ratio that started after the 1850s, the rigged gold-silver ratio. Historical ratio is very easy to understand. And it goes back, you look at 3000 BC, it was 2.5 to 1. Egypt, and then 2700 BC, it was 9 to 1. Persia, it was 13 to 1. Everything is about between 5 and 10 to 1. Why? Because that's what was above ground, and that's what was coming out of the ground. It's very simple. It's not bankers rigging prices to determine the gold-silver ratio. It was what they had in the ground, what was available. But back then it was all money. Gold and silver were money. Now, silver is absolutely a necessary part of our high-tech future. Industrial silver, that's the majority of the silver. So no, the number's not going to go to the historical norms. It's going to go to 4 to 1, 3 to 1, 2 to 1, 1 to 1. Without silver market manipulation, silver should be 1 to 1. And then, add on top of that all that secret gold they found. I have found very few stories of secret silver. A few, but not many. There's some at Yamashita. But silver was very hard to, it's hard to store when it's so cheap in price. That was mainly gold. Yamash's gold is absolutely real. The Chocolate Mountain gold, absolutely real. The Grand Canyon gold, absolutely real. Read Michelle Whitedove's latest report. Go to Patreon and read it. Michelle Whitedove's Patreon. It's got a bunch of Road to Ruta stuff in there. And stuff about Theta. So yes, we are going to have to change the way we think about the gold-silver ratio. And if you own gold right now, I have no idea why you aren't selling it for silver. It makes no sense. If you know the price has been rigged of both metals, which metal was rigged more? Silver is consumed now. Now, these historical numbers didn't have the consumption of silver into industrial applications. That was just how much was available. Now we're looking at how much is available of silver. Of the 800 million ounces dug out of the ground every year, 600 million is already spoken for. So you only got 200 million? And how does that change the ratio of available silver? Yes, silver is going past 1-to-1. All it takes is the destruction of the banking system that has controlled the price of silver since the 1850s. That's all. Just a little thing. And that's what's happening. It no longer is in the interest of the United States of America to allow silver market manipulation. That's why they went after JP Morgan last year under RICO charges. And they can still and should still bust JP Morgan for being the ringleader. They're not the short, but they are the ringleader. And RICO charges is 3-to-1 penalties. If you steal 1 billion ounces of silver, which they did by shorting the COMEX and stealing the metal and cornering, by the way, the Hunt brothers only had 100 million, you owe 3 billion ounces to the people, to we the people. Of course, they can't get it and they don't have it. But it's just insane, the gold-silver ratio. And look what happened. So all this is 10-to-1, 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 10-to-1. And then you get up into 15-to-1s, okay? I buy that. And then you get to the 1800s and it starts jumping. 18-to-1, 19-to-1. That's when the Opium War started. It was all about silver. And then you get 1932 when you had 75-to-1. That was when we went off the gold standard and all that ridiculousness. Here's an interesting one. 1940 to 1941, silver jumped to 100-to-1. Now, 1940 to 1941 is when they were taking all the silver out of the U.S. vaults at West Point, all around the world, all around the country, to put into the Manhattan Project to make the calutrons, to make the first atomic bomb. Why would the price of silver go to a 100-to-1 ratio? That's market manipulation, my friends. And then in 1980, it started to go back right when who took office. Who was in the office during the Hunt brothers in the Federal Reserve? It was Paul Volcker. Paul Volcker, Alan Greenspan's buddy. Yes, of course they rigged. That is when that Reagan set up the Gold Commission. The Gold Commission result was we're going to have to go back onto a gold standard unless we get the budgets in line. And what have happened to the budgets since 1980? Boom, through the roof. On purpose. This is all part of the Road to Ruta plan. Destroy the economic system, soaking up all the benefits. It no longer benefits the United States to rig the price of silver and gold. And then we had in, what was it? Was it last year? It went to 125-to-1, largest all time. That's market manipulation, CFTC. What don't you understand? If you don't have the skills and the intellect to understand how to control these market manipulating banks, if you have a problem with it, go ask Ted Butler. He's been sending you every single letter he's ever written, every report he's written, he's given you. You have all the evidence you need in the Commitment of Traders report. What is manipulation? It's a concentrated short position, a downside manipulation. An upside manipulation is a concentrated long position. You got that right with the Hunt brothers when they had 100 million. And then you have JP Morgan and friends with, 400 million right now? Out short position? What don't you understand? Get out of your office if you don't know how to do your job. Anyway, that's my rant. Theta doing well. Again, it's one you buy. You stick in your Trezor, you stick in your mobile wallet, you hang on to it, you don't even look at it, and you're going to wake up one day and all your monetary woes will be gone. Again, I am posting a new Ginny Moonstone reading later today, and it's going to be a good one. I promise you, as they all are. She's got a lot going on with the Silver Knights. Obviously, there's so much going on, but she was really getting into Theta. Ginny is not a lover of cryptos, not at all, and she hasn't been other than one or two. Theta was one that she's like, wow, this is something that's gigantic and very different from the rest. Many of the other ones are deep state controlled, pedo controlled. Those are the guys we got to get out of here. We'll see what happens. Anyway, if you like Road to Ruta, subscribe today. Get all the Ginny Moonstone readings. Get the all the Theta, how to buy, store, and stake Theta on one page. I do not give personal consulting on how to deal with cryptos. Everybody learns cryptos the same way on the YouTube search function. If you don't know how to deal with cryptos, go to the YouTube search function. If you want to buy just Theta and you want to understand how to do that, I have a page on it that explains it. But I don't do personal consulting. That's just too many questions. And most are pretty basic that you can find on the YouTube search function. So go to YouTube. If you want to learn about cryptos, and you should, absolutely should. Theta is going to be coming on to Coinbase later this year. They've already announced it's one on the list. It's the one that's glaring right now. And people in America can't really get it unless you do certain things, and I point that out and help you through that on the Theta page, but not on personal consulting. All right, that's Bix's. I'm out. You guys take care.